Welcome to 6 Minutes English, the program where we explore an interesting topic and bring you 6 pieces of useful vocabulary. I'm Nell, and I'm Rob. Today we are talking about first impression and how they are often wrong. So let's start with the term first impression. It's the idea or opinion you have about someone after meeting them for only a short time. It's very natural to make a quick judgment about someone based on their appearance and facial impression. We are going to hearing about the research of Professor Alexander Todorov from Princeton University in the US first. First, our questions. How long he say it takes to form an impression about someone's face? 8 under 1 second, B 1 second, C 6 seconds. I'll go for B 1 second. Well, we will find out if you're right or not at the end of the program. So Alexander Todorov has been researching our impression. He tests asked people to decide whether they thought face were dominant, competent, trustworthy, or extroverted. Let's just look at the words for a second. Dominant means being strongest or most important. Competent means being able to do things. Well, if you're trustworthy, it means you people trust you. You are what they trust. And being extroverted means you're energetic and enjoy spending time with others. So, what did he find out? Face and look happy and feminine like a woman were rated as more trustworthy, while faces that were more um, masculine, mas- ma- masculine like a man were seen as more dominant, while the face with the pink eyes were seen as more extroverted. Now the important thing that total total size is that those judgments are not accurate. Someone who looks competent isn't necessarily incompetent. So what does this mean in practice? Here's a Professor Totoro. Trustworthiness, dominance, and attractiveness are the three big things that we form impression of people. But interestingly, we have done some work predicting the electoral success of politicians and the judgment that is most predictive of who is going to win the election is a perceived competence. And this is not random at all, because if you ask voter what is the most important attribute of a politician, competence is the one on the top. Okay, so this actually quite um, significant. Uh, significant. People say that the most important attribute or quality for a politician is competence, the ability to do things. That sounds fair enough. That sounds fair enough. But because we make judgments based on appearance, it can it this can actually affect how people vote. If voters believe or receive or perceive someone to be competent, they are more likely to vote for him or her. He says this applies especially to people who are less educated about politics. They are more likely to be influenced by appearance. They say this applies to around 55% of voters, so the number of people who go with their gut are large enough to influence the outcomes of elections. Wow, to go with your gut. That means to make a decision which is not based on Rational thought is based on instinct, on a feeling, on your gut. Yes, your gut is your stomach and your organ in your belly. So, can we tell nothing from a person's face? Mm, Todorov says faces carry useful information about things like a person's mental state and whether they are tired or sick, but they don't tell you about a person's character. Indeed, it's not only elections where this counts, we are also judged during job interviews and meetings. So what can we do to mm, minimize the chance of being affected? Should we just close our eyes when we meet people? Well, it's not such a bad idea. There's an example of the Boston Sympathy Orchestra back in the 1950s. It was entirely made up of the male musicians. They then introduced a blind audience. In other words, they listened to new to new musicians without looking at them. And what happened? I guess many more women were selected. Exactly. Around 50, of course, gender and race are also huge factors in how we perceive face. Todorov says we tend to react most positively to phrases that look like our own. Right, well, I guess we just need to take a deep breath and try not to judge too much. Easier said than done, I'm afraid, especially when we judge so quickly. So, do we do it in under a second, 1 second, or 6 seconds? I said 1 second. According to Todorov, it takes under 1 second. I think it's safe to say it's very fast. So, shall we quickly go through today's vocabulary? Okay, first up, first impression, the first judgment you make about something. What was your first impression of me, Rob? Well, I thought you were very trustworthy and extroverted. Well, isn't that convenient and co- correct? Because those were actually the two adjectives I wanted to look at next. Being trustworthy is important in life. It means people trust you. And being extroverted is more a character type. Extroverted like to be with people and often seen as confident, whereas the opposite, extroverts usually need to spend time on their own and aren't as loud. Both of these are interesting attributes or qualities. You could say that mathematical mathematical ability is an essential attribute engineer for an engineer, and competence is the number one attribute for a politician. Although people don't always vote depending on actual competence, they base it on their perception, what they see or perceive as competence. Perceived competence might be different from actual competence. Yes, in many situations we tend to go with our guts. We make decisions based on deep feelings. Do you do that right now? Yes, some things you can think about too much. When I left my last job, I really just went with my gut. It felt the right thing to do. Of course, because it meant coming work here with me. Actually, naturally. So that's our chat about first impression. For more, to visit our Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube pages, and of course our website. Bye for now. Bye.